Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to my garden. I figured I would kind of start over here. And this is my Beni Shichihenge. It is May 9th. So this is some of the colors. So the pink has kind of faded from most of it, and it's now kind of that cream and green. Slightly different than Bihu, or not Bihu, but than Butterfly. My Butterfly right now has a lot more cream than green, but this one still has a fair amount of cream in it, as we can see. So there's some green leaves I gotta just watch. This one definitely reverts more than my Butterfly does. So anything that's all green, I want to make sure I prune out. Make sure, kind of like this leaf down here. But anything that's has some variegation in it will be fine. And then just trying to keep that the best of the best of the variegations. And there's my Beni Shisha. And it's kind of, this has some variegation in it, but I just gotta watch it because I don't want this becoming predominant. So just things to watch. But yeah, looking good. And there it is. This one basically sits in shade. Gets a little bit of direct light around noon, and then after that, it's just in a high canopy. So in front of it is my small Macaua that's kind of been struggling. The branch got broken off, and then this top branch looks like it's died back. So just a small Macaua, but hopefully it's a pretty tough cultivar. So it just unfortunately is so slow growing that any dieback like this just takes forever for it to recover. But yep, Macaua's it's worth the wait. Yep, Mikawa Yetsubuas. So to kind of put it into perspective of where we're at right now in my garden, so Beni Shichihenge is over here, Macaua, and then here's kind of the driveway. So in the last video, we kind of came down, looked at these, and then kind of went back up this way. So next time we're gonna do this side of the garden. So this one is Washa. I know it's Eagle Claw is the name of the cultivar. It's a very divided leaf on it. It's like Washa No or something like that. Washa No Own or something like that. I think is what the Japanese name of it is. But green leaves and then a beautiful fall color of yellow. Yep, have this one in a cage just to kind of protect it a little bit from the squirrels and the deer from munching on it. But I'm getting to about the time in the year where I can slowly start removing them. So that way I can enjoy the trees without them, and then I usually put them back on as we get into fall. Usually summertime there's enough food and stuff around them that they'll be fine. Some of the small liners and 1 gallons I planted, I'll keep the cage around them until they get a little bit bigger, so that way they still get stepped on. Back here is my Ryusen. So I'm training it up, and then I'm going to start training it into some interesting shapes. But right now, I'm just trying to get a little bit of height out of it. Beautiful palmatum leaf on it. It's going to start darkening up a little bit, but still has a pretty nice little green color to it. Yep. Rayusen. This one, if you don't know, is very weeping. Like, basically weeps straight down. So you can, some people I guess use it as a ground cover type, but most people stick it up to about 4 to 6 feet and then just let it weep down from there. But yep, Acer Palmatum Rayusen. see, we'll come over to this one. This is Kosiki Kohime. Has a really pretty, to actually focus on the leaves. Pretty leaf is kind of like a Shigira and Macaua. If they had a baby, this is kind of what I would imagine would look like. There is, this cultivar is known for kind of having dieback. Some people don't like that. I don't mind it too much. I usually wait until the secondary flush is done and I'll trim back everything just so that way it looks a lot neater. But yep, this is Kosiki Kohime. In the spring it's like a bright red and it kind of fades to this green. But yep, a pretty neat cultivar. You can find one. Back behind it, this is my Meujaku or Dancing Peacock or Aconitifolium or something like that is the names for it. But sometimes they're called fern leaf maples or fern leaf. So this one was one of the ones I got bitten back a lot by the deer. So you can kind of see some of the new growth and where they chomped on it a little bit. But this one, the fall color, like any Japonicum, is nice. The leaves are good size already. Yep, just waiting for this one to get a little bit bigger, but enjoying it. Let's see, we'll venture back here to one of my other Japonicums. This is a small one, so this one I'll leave in the cage till it gets some height on it, but it's definitely put on a lot of new growth this year. I got it as a small 1 gallon, almost a liner. This is Attaryi, I think is how it's pronounced, or Itaya. Another not quite as divided leaf as the Meujaku, but still a really divided leaf on it. And like all Japonicums, amazing fall color. Let's see, we'll work our way up this way to another Japonicum. This is kind of like my Japonicum area because they do really well in high shade. And this one, let's see if we look at the tag. Itaya. So apparently this is kind of, I think I've said in past videos, if you've seen those, what a lot of people for a while were calling just a generic Japonicum if they didn't know what it was. So kind of like a red upright is always called a blood good, even though it's not a blood good. So I guess that's what a lot of people were calling unknown Japonicums or Japonicum seedlings. But this one I got from Acer Acres, and they actually tracked down the original form that JD Verchis talked about in his book. So this is the actual form of it. This one also got bit a lot by the deer, so you can see some of the, it's definitely pushing a lot of new growth. So luckily it was a nice size tree already before they came in, and so I'm just letting all the new growth kind of finish pushing out, and then I'll prune all the areas that didn't reflush. But yep, this is a nice pretty tree. Happy with it. Good sized leaves like most Japonicums have. Let's see, we'll come over and look at a couple palmatums. Or actually, first we have a subordinatum, and this is my Kuro Naijishi, I think it's a Kuro Naijishi. Let's see, Kamoi Naijishi, that's right. This one here, just beautiful variegation in the leaves. It holds this variegation all year. This is one of the best variegated or consistently variegated trees that I have. So really enjoy this one. Subuldianum, I believe, are a little bit more cold hardy than a lot of palmatums. So I think palmatums, unless it's a coral bark, can go down to zone 5 or zone 5. Coral barks are zone 6, but I think Subuldianums can go down to zone 4. So if you're in a colder climate, this is definitely something that you should be able to grow. But yep, there it is. Komon Nishiki. Okay, and we'll kind of work our way back up into the woods. This is my Ramona, Acer Palmatum. Has really tiny leaves on it. It does get some, I think if you watch some of the other earlier videos, a little bit of pink. Right now should be when they get that secondary flush that a lot of people really rave about, where you get the pink on the green. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really experienced that too much. It's not a nice tree, but definitely not getting what it was hyped about. But if you're looking for a tree with tiny leaves, maybe if I have it in a little bit more sun, these new leaves would be a little bit more pink than they are. But yep, happy I got it. Just wouldn't be near the top of my list of trees I would repurchase. But Acer Palmatum Ramona. Over here through my woods, this is just a straight species palmatum, so Acer Palmatum subspecies palmatum, and I'm growing this one. Hopefully get some seedlings off of it in the next few years as it gets bigger. But yeah, I will say the straight species has beautiful fall color. So even right now, nice green leaf on it. It's put on a lot of new growth, but the fall color on these is bright red. And so definitely, even if I wasn't growing it for the seeds, the fall color alone is awesome on the straight species. So Acer Palmatum subspecies palmatum. Over here is my Grapevine Japonicum, and this is the one that basically the deer left like 4 leaves on it, so it's definitely pushing a lot more growth out of it. So they let like 2 leaves down here, and then one like this big leaf right here. So you can see the size of the leaves, like they're basically the size of my hand. This is Vitifolium, I think is how it's pronounced, or grapevine. So it's Acer Japonicum. Like I said, giant leaves, nicely divided lobes. Yep, give me some nice flushes on it. I did do a short on it probably back in early April, before the deer ate all the leaves, like a couple days before they ate them all, to kind of show what it looked like, so you can see what when it's fully leafed out and not half eaten, kind of like this over here, what it looks like. But yeah, those giant Japonicum leaves. And we'll continue kind of working our way up. So eventually this is going to be, I'm going to make a path through here, but right now I'm just trying to get some of the staples in place. So this one here is my Oregano Nishiki, and the deer ate this one too, and kind of maybe done me a favor with the hard pruning that they did on it, because look at all this nice growth on it. And these should also, as they turn green, keep more of that swirling color that it's known for, kind of like that. But Oregano Nishiki, for me, usually the leaves kind of come out green like this, and it's the secondary flush that really has that pink and white swirl on them. But right now, just this white cream with the pink borders on the new growth is pretty spectacular, especially against the green backdrop. So I did a slight hard pruning on it, but the deer definitely pruned it a lot more than what I would have done. So, oh, here's a really pretty one. Right there. We have a Koshiodori Nudgeski. This one does have, even if I didn't get the spring flush and the variegation like it's known for, it's a fire engine red fall color. Oh, here's a good branch. Some nice variegation on it. We have bright red fall color. I think I also have a short on this one last fall, what it looked like. Koshiodori Nudgeski. Let's see, we'll come up to my, starting to get into like my ghost area. So this one here is Garndama Ghost. I got it as a small liner and it was struggling for the first couple years. I think I had it in way too much sun. So I moved it back here and it's doing a lot better. So I have the cage around it just because it struggled for the first year or two that I had it. But I just love that cream and that reticulation on it. It's nice, this creamy color, creamy green. It holds up or brightens up this area. Yep, Garndama Ghost. Over here is my actual peaches and cream. So most of the peach color is now gone. It's definitely more of the cream, but it was looking pretty good earlier this year. You can see some of the, if you can get the focus, but the reticulation in it. You see you have it. This is kind of on the edge of the woods, which is once again why these have it in a cage, kind of help protect it from the deer. You can see some of that beautiful reticulation there in the leaves as the sun's kind of trying to peek out between the clouds. So I planted this here last fall, so I'll see how it does. This is one of those ones that trying to find the right spot to get that peach color and then get that cream color with it. So yep, peaches and cream. So you might want to move it around in a pot for a little bit. I didn't do it just because I know Garndama Ghost and some of my other reticulations do well in this area, so I kind of planted it over here. But yep, peaches and cream. All right, let's see. We'll swing this way. Here's my giant REM that I just picked up a couple weeks ago. Just love that. It's also called the Golden Full Moon, or Acer Shirasawanum REM is the name for it. Found this at a local plant sale. So I'm trying it in different spots. That's why it's still in the pot. I want to make sure, I want to get in a spot where the leaves don't burn, but it holds that chartreuse color or even more yellow color. So I think where I have it right now, it will get morning sun from about 9 to noon, maybe 9 to 11:30, somewhere in there, and then dappled shade of the high oak canopy after that. So hopefully that should be a good area for us. I know talking to some other maple collectors and Elizabeth Mundy from Acer Acres, who had a bunch of these, she recommended early morning sun and then afternoon, so noon and beyond, shade or dapple shade for it, or else it basically gets crispy and doesn't look very good. So I'm taking her advice, trying it here before I plant it here. But yep, Acer Shirasawanum REM, or the Golden Full Moon Maple. Next to it, in front of it, and we'll come back to it in a second, is my purple ghost. So hopefully with that red and the color of this, it'll play off each other nicely. I was hoping to try and plant my like in the last video when the two pots were next to each other, the hot sauce next to this because they look so well, but trying to find a spot that will have enough sun for the hot spot to turn red or keep its red, but also not burn. This one's gonna be kind of tricky, but yeah, I might bring hot sauce over here as well just to kind of see if it will hold its red in this deep of shade. But I know the purple ghost right in front of it will definitely have that red as it gets bigger to kind of play off this color, if this is where this one eventually ends up. Over here is, actually we'll take the cage off of it right now. We can see it a little bit better. But this is my Koshiodori Nudgeski, I think is how it's pronounced. There's the tag. And this one here is one of the best palmatums I've seen with the most consistent sand dusting on it. Every year that sand dusting is very consistent. I don't have to prune it. I don't have to stress prune it like the Oliverianum Nudgeski or the Radiant that I have. This one just performs. It's an old cultivar, kind of hard to find, unfortunately. Just with how great it is, I think it definitely should still be used more. But that sand dusting, like I said, is just consistent. It is a really slow grower, so just something to kind of keep in mind. It's now been planted here for probably 3 or 4 years, and it hasn't really grown too much, which is one reason why the cage is still around it, just so it doesn't get stepped on. But even with it being so small, like I said, that sand dusting is just very consistent on it every year. So to kind of show you where I'm at, there is my Acer Koshiodori, and then here we're coming around to my Radiant and Bihu, and this is some of the ones I think I did in the last video. But now we're going to come over to my Hot Blond. So here's some of the Acer Oliverianum, I think it's Oliverianum Hot Blond. So you can kind of see the beautiful colors of this one. This one was also kind of munched on by the deer, which is why it has a lot more nude growth than normal. But you can see as it's kind of fading to that yellow. So this one definitely comes out usually more chartreuse and kind of fades to the blonde yellow color that it's known for. But this one is a very fast grower, so a lot faster than hot sauce. I've had this one now, maybe I got it in I think 23, and then it's already probably 6 feet tall, and I just got it as a small 1 gallon. So let's see, let me look at my tag. Let's see, I got it, nope, 22. So I did have it in a pot for a couple years, just trying to find a good spot for it because I knew it was going to get big and grow fast. But so I found, this is where my Oliverianum Nudgeski was originally, but it was just burning any of that white pink new growth. So I figured with the sun that it's getting here, the Hot Blond would do very well in this area. So I moved the Oliverianum Nudgeski last fall and then planted this one here. So yep, Acer Oliverianum Hot Blond. Oh, if we pan this way, there's my fairy lights, which will be a nice little slow grower. And then we'll get back to my gold coin in a second. But over here is my Acer Shirasawanum Johin. So just like that dark purple foliage, This one does green up on me. You can see that's starting to get the ones that are not in this quite sun, the green, but that here's kind of the different phases. This one also got nibbled on a little bit by the deer, but it comes out this bright cherry red. Here's a few leaves. And then fades to that maroon, and then eventually kind of like a green, green red. But I love the big leaves of the Shirasawanums. This is a gold bleeding hearts. I think the bleeding hearts are done, but yep, gold bleeding hearts. This one eventually, as the heat warms up, will die back to the ground. But yep, Acer Shirasawanum Johin. There's what the new growth looks like when it comes out in the spring, and then kind of turns to this nice dark maroon. And then for me anyways, here in central Virginia, it will green up on me, but it's more like this color, so it still has a different shade to play off, like the hot blonde. And I have a blue Norway spruce right here, and then my purple ghost, and then the REM. So just trying to give some color contrast. Yep, Acer Shirasawanum Johin. Over here is my Acer Longipes, I think is how it's pronounced, gold coin. So kind of a small one, but you can see some of that. This one comes out green, and then kind of finally turns yellow for me. So kind of the opposite, or this to kind of help play with the colors with hot blonde behind it and the Johin next to it. But yep, Acer Longipes, I think is what it is, gold coin. In front of that, here's my cricket. So this is supposed to be a really narrow form of, it was a witch's broom that Elizabeth Mundy with Acer Acres found on Fire Glow. So definitely has that Fire Glow type leaf for that. When the sun's shining through it, definitely the backside glows, so you can kind of see what the color that it comes out, and then kind of fades to this dark maroon. And usually as long as it's in the light to the top side, will kind of keep that maroon, and then the ones that are kind of in more shade, as you can see, greens up. But usually for me it does pretty well, holding its color fairly well throughout the year. So yep, Acer Palmatum cricket. Next to that, this is my Rhode Island Red. So this one forms more of a ball shape, maybe 4x4. Got a lot of frost damage on it, kind of like, so you can see all that frost damage. Once it's done pushing the new growth, I'll come back in and prune out all that frost damage. But I just wanted to give it a chance to figure out what it was going to push and what it wasn't. So yep, Acer Palmatum Rhode Island Red. Got a couple more trees. So here's where I'm gonna make one of my paths coming in. So right in front of it, this is my Amber Ghost. Has a little bit of that amber hue still left in it, but for me it does green up. And this is kind of what it looks like most of the year for me. Is this, but it does still have that nice reticulation in it. But the amber color, even though it's only lasts maybe a couple weeks, is just so unique compared to a lot of the other ones. Amber Ghost is probably one of my favorite ghosts of the series that I have. But yep, Amber Ghost. And then, like I said, this is Paul Select Norway Spruce. Norway Spruces apparently do really well in humidity, so trying it out here. Yep, been happy with it. The last few years that's been planted there, it's put on maybe 3 to 6 inches of, maybe 3 to 4 inches of growth. But here's my Purple Ghost. So this one like some of the other ones in this area, got munched on by the deer. So we need to focus so you can see the new cherry growth versus the older growth on it. This one does green up for me eventually, so that, which is why it was where my Fire Glow was, and I replaced it because I wanted one there that would stay red year round, like which Fire Glow does for me. It also got munched on and also got frost damage, so this one had a rough spring, but it's doing really well. But yeah, I just love when the leaves first come out, what they look like, how divided they are, and the reticulation on them. Yep, Purple Ghost is an older leaf. I got a couple more trees and then we'll be done with this part of the tour. There's my Arium. Over here is my Geshi, I think is how you pronounce it. So this one here is a very fine leaf. It's gonna be hard to focus on, but it's a red. And let's see just how thin those leaves are. So it's a Leonard Lobum. It does eventually green up, but it actually holds its red longer than I thought it would. But yep, it's right now with how small as it is, and how thin it is. Sometimes I come out, I'm like, oh no, did it die? But nope, it's just the leaves are so thin. As it gets bigger, it fills in. I'm waiting for the for it to really like fill in and start blowing in the winds. But this is kind of what the new leaves look like, and then they thin out, kind of like Koto no Ito, where the leaves come out thicker like this and then become really thin. But just kind of like a red version of that. This is Shigue Bato. Some beautiful secondary flushes on it. A really divided Matsumura type leaf. Eventually should get like 6x6. Really pretty fall color, yellow. But yep, I had this chair kind of in front of it to kind of help protect it from my kids riding their bikes down the hill, or the wagon, or different things in my front yard. So just so that way they see it. But yep, thank you for joining me on this part of my garden tour. Like I said, I think I covered most of my trees in this early May. There's a couple trees that are kind of by themselves. So I like my actually I might do one more tour that shows my flamethrower, Tamukiyama, Segukaku, and Saryu, and some of the other ones. But for now, thank you for joining me on this a little bit longer tour, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.